Welcome everybody, my name is Emilio Bassa. Normally don't do this, I do videos about music, but me and my buddy Dave, we came up with a really cool sign for my merch table. It ended up being really cool, and I kind of wanted to show other musicians how to do it. Like whenever I would do shows at a bar, I would need like a lamp, or I had like Christmas lights around my merch table, and it kind of brings people in, but having something like this really, I don't know, it's like eye-catching, and you know, it's good branding because your name and your logo are there. So let's get started. So we had to decide on a font, and we went through 5 or 6 fonts, but we finally decided on one. And then what we did was we printed that out on paper, and we were using 8.5 by 11, and we kind of ran short, so we printed 2 pieces of paper and we taped them together to make them a little longer. And this right here is kind of like poster board, a thick black poster board. And what we're doing is we're taping down the printed piece right on top of the poster board. Now this is going to be an outline for when we're going to cut, because we're going to cut right through it with this X-Acto knife. So I'm going to pretty much cut my name out in those 2 horizontal bars. I'm going to cut in really close, and I'm going to cut all the way down. And sometimes with the lines I would use a ruler just so I know that I didn't, you know, it wasn't crooked, you know. And I couldn't do it in one cut. I had to do it, you know, kind of do it repeatedly to get through that poster board. And here is the first E. Now again, what I had to do was, I didn't use a ruler here, I just was very careful and very patient. And you know, you're going through the paper, but you want to get through that thick poster board. And this is just a time lapse of me cutting through the poster board. You got to be really patient with it. Kind of hurt my hand, but it pays off in the end. So here is the first few letters cut out. E-M-I-L, and then you can kind of see it on the other side how it looks like. And you know, you just keep using that knife and just keep cutting through that board. Now the O was kind of tricky because I had to cut the smaller piece first and then cut the larger piece. Same thing with the A and the B. You know, I had to cut the smaller piece and the A. But eventually I decided not to even use those smaller pieces. It looked better without it. And you could see the progress coming along. I got the full name now. Well, close to the full name. Got one more letter left, and then after that I have the horizontal bars. With the horizontal bars, I did use a ruler because it was pretty long, and the letters were smaller, it was easier. And those are the leftover letters. And now, it's the full name and the horizontal bars all cut out. So what you do is get rid of so what you do now is, now that the letters are cut out, you kind of could just take that outline and drop it off. And now you're left with this black poster board with the cutout. And now you're going to use this poster board and you're going to mount it on top of the foam core. Now I use the black foam core. You go to Michael's and get it there, but you kind of see how it looks there. It's going to shine through. It's going to be pretty cool. So this is the foam core. So what we're going to do is you put the outline on top of the foam core, and you want the light to shine through. So what you want to do is you want to measure out and cut a hole that's the size of whatever design or whatever your logo or your band name is, so the light will shine through that hole and then through your outline. As you can see, I took the outline, I put the wax paper behind it already, kind of just taped it back there, and you take the foam core and you put the outline on top of the foam core, and you kind of get a good idea of how big you want to have that hole in the foam core. And you could take a ruler, you could use a protractor, measure it out, and use that as a guide too when you're cutting. Now with foam core, you can't do it in one cut, you kind of do it repeatedly till it gets through. And I just use regular old wax paper. You can get them from the dollar store. So now that you have it, all you got to do is just start cutting the hole. Okay, here you can kind of see the work that I'm already doing. And I started the cut, and I used the ruler to make a nice clean cut, and also to keep the line pretty straight. Now, to be honest, no one's going to see the cut in the back on the foam core. It's going to be covered by the outline. So you could make it as neat as you want. I was kind of a perfectionist with this project, and I wanted to make it really neat, but again, you can make it, as long as the light shines through and illuminates the outline through the wax paper, you're good to go. Kind of took the outline, put it right below the foam core, and I used the ruler as reference